Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Okay, so one thing I want to start out, and I want to say this. I've been in this business for 30 years. I jumped right out of high school and I went to college. I started studying psychology right off the bat, first semester. And during college, I began to leave and go off to different specialized psychology training, such as neuro-linguistic programming, Ericksonian hypnosis, timeline therapy, energy healing, etc. I was working overtime on learning the best skills that I could. I began teaching and working with clients, I think I was 21, 22 years old when I bought my first license. But I'd actually started teaching classes before that, doing workshop trainings and one-on-one coaching. So here's my point. You're in good hands. I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. Alright, so the reason I'm making this video is we just finished a third session with a client, a lady, who's actually on this channel. She's made a couple comments recently, so if she wants to identify herself, that's fine. If not, I don't want to do that. So here's the deal. This is something that essentially happens with some people, not all people. So when dealing with narcissist abuse, a lot of people are, for the most part, they're in what we call fight or flight. So they're in like a panic mode. They're talking fast, they're going fast, and they're trying to get me to understand everything like right away in the first session. And it can be erratic, it can be overwhelming, it can be ping-ponging all over the place. So I have a rule, okay? So if you work with me, do not, N-O-T, not, do not drink coffee before the session. In fact, I would prefer that you don't drink any coffee unless it's at least 6+ hours before, and then only a little bit, like a quarter cup or something. Do not get jacked up, because your anxiety and all that stuff, it's through the roof as it is already. If you want to do, some green tea afterwards, hey, that's fine. And no energy drinks or energy pills either. Believe it or not, I told the guy not to do caffeine, and I'm like, dude, what's going on with you? He goes, what do you mean? And so he ended up doing this really powerful ginseng thing, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, dude, I said like, no. He goes, not even energy pills? I'm like, no, definitely not energy pills. Okay, so here's what's going on. This is an image from Tom Cruise's movie Top Gun, the one that just came out, I think it was like a year ago or something. So here's the deal. A lot of you, and I know because I've been there, okay? So, and that's what this video is about, is to help you to understand that I really, really do understand. So I'm going to break it down and why that's so important. So essentially, it's like this fighter pilot jet that's going in, and you feel like you literally feel like I'm going to crash and burn. I'm going in, and I'm going in fast, I'm going in hard, and you don't know what to do, and you're flailing about, and you're basically screaming and yelling for someone to come down and save you. It's just like, roger that, coming down, I'm on my way, breaking ranks right now. So here's the deal. A lot of clients will come, okay, I've worked with 5 clients in the last 7 days, I think. 2 of them were in absolute serious situations. They were getting harassed. I don't want to give away their situations, but they were in like actual gang stalking, and people were doing this, and these people were panicked. One of them was in a very, very high pressure corporate, I don't want to say job, because he was actually one of the people at the very, very top, okay? So then I've been working with a lady. We did our 3rd session today. That's what this video really was stimulated by. So she came to me just talking a million miles an hour, going fast. Number one, she was on caffeine. She was going way too fast, trying to fit every little thing into like within 10 minutes. Again, I'm on my way, and I'm at supersonic right now. I'm coming in fast, okay? Here's the deal. We've got this. Just relax. You're going to be fine. I absolutely promise you this. So this lady came in and she's really just going fast, and I'm doing everything I can to calm her down. And there's a reason why she was talking so fast. There's a reason why she was so urgent and really just pushing and pushing. And that's what this video is about, and I'm going to get to in a second. So the first thing I want to say right before I get to that is this. She was even more panicked than the first two guys that were really, they were under the gun, under pressure, under attack. I mean, physically people were doing stuff. In 3 sessions, we got her to completely level off, mellow out, and actually start laughing at the situation. Going from this, and what was the phrase she kept using? Like, this person destroyed my life, they're attacking me, they're doing this, I can't. There's another phrase that she said, and I can't remember. It wasn't traumatizing, but it was something where, and it fit the bill, like this person had really gone after her. So when I'm saying she was panicking, it was the first 2 sessions. She was just full on panic mode, fight and flight, just beyond a shadow of a doubt, a candidate for some anti-anxiety pills at the very least, probably a little bit heavier than that. And then Mr. Mike Colleen, Mr. Ninja Master, comes in. He throws in a couple Uno Reverso cards with some ninjista twist to them, and voila! And he brings a couple of his really good friends along, and they're ready to kick ass. So yeah, I didn't come by myself. I got a lot of backup. So next thing you know, the 3rd session, halfway through, she's laughing and she's breathing, and she's like sigh of relief going, oh, I never thought of it that way. Now she's completely, totally slowed down. So a lot of people will go to therapy for a long time. I'm talking years, or be on medication and all this stuff for a long time, and they come to me and boom, 3, 4, 5 sessions, everything is 180 degrees turned around. So now she's become stabilized. So the next step we do is we're really going to work on her becoming emotionally grounded. I'm going to be working with her, teaching her these techniques, and using my energy to help her energy to remember what it means and how to ground herself emotionally. You're essentially grounding your energy. It's your electricity in your body, so things begin to flow and you feel more solid, more complete, more whole. So one of the things that I've already gotten her to do is to flip things to such an extreme degree. She's now looking at her narcissist going, wow, he's a pipsqueak. Like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you. That's why I keep going over the whole Wizard of Oz stories and explaining, like, look, once you pull that veil open, they're cowards. They are absolutely cowards. So now she found home base and she's coming on in. She's coming in for the landing. Okay, so let's talk about what is it when people call me, what are they going through, and what do they need to know and to understand? Because that really is what this video is about. I want to go deeper into that. Oh, just so you know, we're probably going to do there's a good chance we're going to do a Zoom interview, or whatever you call it, like a Zoom video, so you guys can actually find out what it was like from her side. Alright, so essentially, what I really want to emphasize in this video is a lot of you guys will come to me, and because, okay, I've been through it myself. You gotta understand, I've been in a lot of therapy, and I mean decades. So, okay, I'm going to use myself as an example. So I remember there's this one therapist or energy healer in particular, and I kind of looked at it like it was magic, like it's going to, boom, in 1 session we're done, or in 2 or 3 sessions or something. So what I did was I would just it's like I remember talking to her so fast, and I remember her just going, stop, stop, and she would like, Michael, you've got to stop. And then I would say, but if you just understood this one thing, because I really thought if she could understand, then then she would be able to fix me. And I came back for a second session, and I had a list, And I was like, I want this fixed, this fixed, this fixed, and let me explain it to you. And she was, Michael, that's not the way this works. So luckily I myself have been through this, so I understood where this lady was coming from. And I understood what she needed to hear from me in order to go, oh, okay. So there's going to be a couple answers that are actually going to surprise you. The second one I think is really going to catch you off guard because you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that's what was going on inside me. So here's the deal. Just like the song said, everything I had went up in flames. It's like, this is what you feel like, and you want other people, like, you don't understand what I'm going through. And you just yell and you raise your voice and you talk faster and you're trying to make them understand it. Well, let me help you understand something that'll help you. So, number one, I have been through it. Now, okay. One of the reasons why a lot of you are thinking like, well, you know, Mike, he's very helpful, he's very smart, his videos have helped me a lot. But then when you come to work with me, you think, well, he doesn't understand. Well, here's the deal. There's a reason why you think that, because I'm not the only one that you think that about. And the final answer to this is going to shock you. It's kind of an Uno Reverso card. Okay, so one of the guys had called me. One of the clients last week, and he was really intense and he was really going through it. So one of the things was he was being gang stalked and they were physically doing stuff to his property, his environment, etc. Okay, so this is a very active group. So here I am in battle mode, and I'm like, fuck those, you know, I literally said the F word, F those motherfuckers, and I was pissed, and I was like, you know, God, I wish I freaking lived down there, because this person lives pretty far from me, and I said, God, if I lived in your neighborhood, or even in the same city, I would literally drive over there for free, and I would hang out at night, and I would freaking catch those people, like physically catch them and get them arrested, because essentially that's what I had to do here. So he got really quiet, and he's like, wait, so you believe me? I was like, yeah, I believe you. What are you talking about? So we had been talking for about 30-40 minutes or so. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, I've told all my friends, like my best friends that I've known for years, and either A, they don't want to hear it, or B, they literally say, you know, are you sure there's not something wrong with you? And this is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of you, when you come in, you're like, well, nobody understands. And thus you project that onto me. Now, I'm going to get back to that in a second, but I want to throw this into a lot of you are like, God, you're such a happy guy and you're so inspiring and you seem so empowered and just, you know, laughing and funny. It's like, well, I am, because I am telling you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there is an end to this darkness. There's an end to this tunnel, and I got out of the tunnel, and I want to show you how. That's why I've been making these videos. So for a lot of you, a lot of these realizations in the way I explain things, like, oh, so it alleviates a lot of the pain, and you're starting to see behind the veil, going, oh my God, oh okay. So a lot of the fear is starting to go away. So because I'm so happy and like living life and empowered and stuff, a lot of you will be like, oh, he doesn't understand. He hasn't been through it. All right, so number one, your friends and family, they just look at you like either you're crazy or this doesn't make any sense. And here, okay, so I had a friend, and when I came home from this whole nightmare, I went over to Josh, because he goes, well, what's going on with you, man? And I tried to explain it to him, and he goes, are you sure? I mean, that just, Mike, why would someone do that? He goes, Mike, that doesn't even make any sense. Why would someone do something like that? And so I remember I went back to his house for dinner. It was about 2 weeks later. And I don't know if we were talking about it. If we did, it was very briefly. But he had said something. I think he just came up with it. He goes, hey, you know what? I'm like, what? He goes, you know that friend you were talking about? That narcissist? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I think he was on cocaine. I'm like, what? He goes, it sounds like he was a heavy cocaine user. Now, I've never done cocaine. I don't have any idea what it's like. So that was like, wait, what? To go, because that's like everything I heard. That doesn't sound like it. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, Michael, cocaine makes people act really weird. So the essential message that you get from your friends and family is, hey, you sound like you're a little bit nuts. I think you need to see a doctor. Or B, they just can't comprehend and they don't understand it. And then their C, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear it. They're just, okay, because here's why. Because a lot of you will just talk and you go so fucking fast. And they're like, what the fuck? And it's a lot of ugliness that you're sharing with them. So like, dude, I don't want to hear this. So you're like, what, they don't care about me? No, they can't relate. So that's going to have to be the first realization that you're going to have to come to. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of you guys have come to that realization. I think you guys are really aware that you can't talk about this to the average person. They're just going to look at you like either lost, confused, or like, I think you need some medication. But thank God for YouTube and social media, all of a sudden this is just exploding all over the world. And even people who haven't gone through it, they're kind of going, okay, I've heard a lot about this. I keep seeing videos and people chatting about this. So it's becoming more mainstream. In fact, it's actually become quite mainstream. So you don't feel all alone. All of a sudden, you're like, hey, there's a lot of places I can go and talk about this, and people absolutely understand it. And it's shocking. In fact, I bet a lot of you, when you first found videos on narcissist abuse and people being angry and pissed, and here's how I did it, and here's what I learned, and like you're like, holy shit, this is exactly what I've been going through. And it's comforting. It is a good feeling. So essentially, the guy I was talking to on the phone and working with, we did a session, he realized, like, you really do understand. It's like, oh yeah, I really do. So I was kind of caught off guard when he goes, wait, do you believe me? I'm like, because, no, he didn't say, do you? He's like, wait, you believe me? I'm like, yeah, I do. And that kind of caught me off guard because we'd actually been pretty deep into this conversation. He had been describing everything to me. And I was really into it. So I think the first step is you guys are going to have to begin to realize, like, wait, Mike actually does understand. And one of the ways you can tell when you talk to someone is they just look at you and they just join the conversation like you're talking to apples and oranges or math or science, and it's not something foreign to them, and they're really into it. So you're like, wait, this person, and like, yeah, they do understand. So remember when I told you that you guys are really brave? I wasn't saying that just to be nice or to be supportive. I'm going to explain something to you that you didn't even realize that you did. I'm going to explain it by describing my experience. So there came a point in time with this one narcissist I was dealing with, and at first I just thought, hey, God, this guy is just really a really messed up person, man. They've got a lot of issues. And then I was just going, wait a minute, is he really that stupid? Because I was like, why would someone do that? That just doesn't make any sense. Now, that's what a lot of your friends or people you try to explain this to, and they're like, why would they do that? That's just dumb. That doesn't make any sense. It's like lunacy. It's like backwards. So then he had done some things like it was becoming really obvious, and okay, so here's what we do as empaths, or just good-hearted people, whatever you want to call yourself. We make up excuses, all kinds of excuses for our abusers. We think, well, they didn't really mean it. Like nobody would do it. Like nobody would do that. But not only that, but it's exactly like all your friends and your family members you try to explain it to. They're just like, that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? So you're also caught up in that too, and that's not an excuse. So you're like, wait, what? Like, and you'll even confront them, like, and they'll deny it, and all the bullshit, or reverse blame shift, and just all that bullshit. So eventually you come to a point where maybe you may not have verbalized this to yourself or even inside said it to yourself, but this is what you essentially did at one point in time. Because you got sick and tired of the bullshit. So I remember looking at this person going, wait a minute, is this motherfucker doing this shit on purpose? So for the first time ever, I didn't look at this person like, oh, well, they're just having a bad day, or excuse number one. Excuse number two, well, maybe they didn't realize what they said, or they didn't realize what they did, or maybe, they made them, like, I didn't make up these excuses, because it was just like, wow, this is really like becoming obvious, because it was like rapid fire. And I just literally looked, and for the first time in my life, I just opened my eyes, I took a look, and I was like, wait, is this person doing this shit on purpose? Never in my life had I ever considered that any of these people would do any of this stuff on purpose. So what you did is you took a look. You came out from behind your own curtain and you actually looked outside and you went, holy shit, they're doing this shit on purpose. And then what happens is you have this fucking realization that they've been doing this shit on purpose your entire fucking life. Your 8 years with this person, your family, these people, and you go, oh, and okay, now here's what happens. This is the next step. So then all of a sudden, reality hits you, and it scares the living shit out of you. The realization that all those injuries, all those humiliating things that happened to you, the games they played, the physical injuries, you start looking and go, oh my God, they did. Because now you're seeing it with clear eyes. And you're realizing, holy shit, they did that just to hurt me. They did that on purpose. So here's what happens. You essentially go into isolation of some sort, whether you go to work and just shut down, don't talk to people, or you isolate, you stay inside as much as possible, you avoid people. But there's a very, very positive reason why. Now you could use the term, this is the dark night of the soul, or the tower moment where everything's just collapsing, falling apart, and it is. And it is very scary, and it's very painful, it's extremely lonely, it's unbelievably lonely. You are sad beyond belief, and on top of it, nobody understands. Nobody even wants to listen to what you have to say. Nobody is even trying to console you. And there's a reason why it's supposed to be that way, because now it's your turn. It's time for you to take an honest look at what all these people have done to you and be honest with yourself and stop making excuses for them. So you will spend 2+ years essentially in some form of isolation, whether it's you go to work, you come straight home, you go to the grocery store, come straight home, and you just don't talk to anybody. And another thing you'll notice is, you might go to bed and all of a sudden this memory from when you were 7 years old pops up. The memory from something your high school girlfriend did to you pops up. Something your uncle did to you with your high school girlfriend pops up, and you're like, wait a minute, they did that shit just to hurt me. Not only did they do it, it wasn't spur of the moment, it wasn't because they were in a bad mood, they had actually took the time to talk it out, to plan it out, and then to do it. And that is why you shut down, you don't talk to people, and here's another thing. You don't trust anybody. You don't even trust your best friend. You don't trust your therapist. You don't trust anybody because you don't know who's good and who's bad and who's on your side and who's not. And you start thinking, wait a minute, are all these people narcissists? Here's what you're doing. Your brain is going through every single bad memory that you've ever had in your life. And you are taking an honest look without any filters, without any excuse making, without any of the bullshit. You're looking at it and go, wait, did they do that on purpose? So now you're starting to see everything they did, everything they said. You're like, oh my God, they didn't even try to fucking hide it. because they knew that you would. They knew that they could rip your heart, soul, and guts out all at the same time and do it in front of you and do it in front of your friends and family. And they knew that you were the one that was going to lie to yourself. They knew that you were going to make up excuses. Oh, well, they didn't mean. Oh, they had a bad day. Oh, well, they didn't realize what they were doing, and all that bullshit. Because you're not like that. In a million fucking years, if you're an empath or a light worker or light healer or whatever, spiritual person, or just a warm, loving, kind person, in a million years, you would never do any of this bullshit, let alone purposely plan it and execute it with friends and family. You would never treat someone like that. So for the first time in your life, you start to realize, wait a minute. You mean the majority of people on this planet don't see things the way that I see it? See, you went through life believing that 80% of the people on the planet were really good people, 10% kind of sucked, and then there was 10% or so that were just really fucked up people, but it's not that many, so blah, blah, blah. So what I mean is, you just assumed everyone around you, at least everyone except for maybe 1 out of 10, was a bad person. So you thought, well, it's not a big deal. And so all these bad things would happen to you. And by the time you're 30, 35, 40, 45 years old, you're like, do I have like the worst luck in the world with people? And then you start to wake up and go, oh no, these are narcissists. They've been coming after me my whole life. And you've been sitting there making it easy for them. So here's what I'm trying to say. The reason why you come to me and you're like, oh, well, I don't think he understands is, number one, like, none of your friends understand. They're just like, so now here's the other thing. You probably went through a stage where you thought you were ashamed of yourself. You're like, why would I do that? Why did I let people treat me like that? And you felt so bad about it when you're that, I call it the Great Wall of China, when you're that dark night of the soul where all these memories start coming up. And one of the realizations you have is like, I let those people do that to me all those years. And now that I look at it, it was so obvious. Like, why did I lie to myself about this? Well, number one, there is a very brave thing that you did here. So let me get to this part first. So here's the deal. All those friends and family that can't understand, they're still lying to themselves. They are still asleep to this. They don't want to see the ugly truth. Sure, deep down inside on a very deep unconscious level, they do see it. But they lie to themselves. They make up excuses. They go along with the crowd and they say, oh, well, you're misunderstanding. And then they tell you that you're the one looking at it wrong. No, they're still hiding. And you know why? Because they're terrified, just like you used to be. And that, number one, is the reason why you made up all the excuses, because the reality of people doing that kind of shit to you for that many fucking years, it's just unbelievable. And that's the word right there. You can't believe it, because in a million years, you wouldn't pull shit like this on people. Number two, you are unbelievably brave for allowing yourself to finally take a look and ask yourself, wait, are they doing this on purpose? Yes, they absolutely did, and they absolutely are, and that's a good thing. Now you've opened your eyes, and now you can avoid it, and now you can fight back. So again, when you first open up to this, it scares the crap out of you, and then you curl up in bed and you hide for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and all these memories come up, and the first part of it is phases. You're absolutely terrified. And then the more you realize, like, wait, these people did this shit on purpose, and then you get really, really angry. You go through an anger phase. And then you start to toughen up. You start saying, oh no more. I'm absolutely done. I'm done with this bullshit. And that's what the Great Wall of China is. Like, you don't talk to people at the grocery store. You don't talk to your friends. You may even have cut people out of your life and said, hey, you might have blocked them. You might have said, hey, don't call me anymore. I'm done with you. Like, you just put up the Great Wall of China. Well, the good news is this. This phase is a development phase. It's extremely painful. And here's the next part. you absolutely believe that your life is over and you're in. This is what this lady kept saying. You go, Mike, she's like, Mike, you don't understand. They completely destroyed my life. It's over. You don't understand. Here's the deal. I do understand. And it's exactly how I felt. I was like there was no happiness in the world. There was no joy. Like, you look to your future and like, you're like, I've been going through this for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years. And there's no end in sight. Everything is darkness. Even when it's summer and the sun's out, you just look at it like, you don't see it as a happy thing. It's almost like it's dark even though it's daylight. Everything seems darkness. Even my neighbors, like I didn't talk to them for 2 years. And I remember about the 2.5 year mark, I finally opened up to one of the neighbors. It was one of my neighbor's wife. She's a very nice person, and it was like a risk opening up to this person because you feel so like your emotions are raw. You feel so sensitive, and you're so angry, and you put the Great Wall of China up because for the first time as an empath, you're learning how to have boundaries. You finally put up the damn wall. And the reason why you put it up 100% is because you're like, I don't want to get hurt. But what you're really doing is you're finally learning what it means to have boundaries. I know you heard about boundaries. You thought you understood it, but you really didn't until you went through this phase. So this is another part of the development phase. It's a really, really, really good thing. So I took the risk and I opened up because she asked me, she's like, what's going on? Like, what, are you okay? Or she said, what's wrong? And I just told her and I kept it brief because I learned in the past, most people just look at you like you're fucking crazy or they don't want to hear it. And I kept it brief and said, hey, I've been getting stalked for a long time and I've been having these issues and here's what's been going on. And I kept it really short, about 2.5 minutes. And she goes, oh, that makes sense because you wouldn't talk to anybody. And we were all like, what's going on with this guy? Now at this point, I was still really hesitant about opening up to anybody. And what I did instead of before, so what most people would do, like most of you guys would be like, oh my God, somebody's listening. And you would just pour your fucking heart out. No, I didn't do that. I just kind of stopped it and I said, well, that's what's going on with me. And I just walked away. But it was a good feeling that she opened. But the minute I walked away, I thought, wait, what the fuck did I do? She might be a narcissist. She might be fucking with me. Because at this point, you're still at that stage where you're like, you don't know who's a good person and who's not. So essentially, I put the wall back up, and then when I saw her again, I just kind of nodded and I kept walking. But at least at this point, she understood it wasn't personal for her. So over a period of time, she would try to start conversations, and I think she was just trying to help me to heal, believe it or not. She is an empath. We've actually had a conversation before this whole narcissist thing happened to me a few years ago. I mean, the final one. It's been happening my whole life. So then I went to a store and I bought some stuff, and it was a young lady. She was in college. She was tall, just beautiful, but just a sweet, sweet person. And she kind of wanted to talk to me and engage in conversation. So I kind of opened up a little bit. And then I walked out of the store going, holy shit, what the fuck was I thinking? How do I know this person's not? I don't even know that person. Well, and I'm freaking out going, what was I thinking? So then I went back there a week later, and there's another young guy. He was in college also. And he would, hey, what's going on, man? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, and I kind of opened up a little bit just to kind of, because you're trying to come out of your shell, right? And then I walked out of the door going, what the fuck was I thinking? I don't know who that guy is. I don't know if this whole group of people is just trying to suck me into their freaking narcissist group, So there's a little bit of fear going on. So then one day when I went there, about another week, there was another store, and I don't even remember why I walked in there because I didn't buy anything in there, and I ended up asking a guy something, and I forget what I said, but I kind of led down to the narcissist abuse thing. I didn't really directly, but I indirectly said it. He goes, oh man, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll go, wait, I'm talking about narcissists? He goes, oh yeah, you could tell. He's like, yeah. He goes, I know all about those people, blah, blah, blah. And so then I got the vibe oh, this guy's a narcissist, because there was something dark about it, something really creeped me the fuck out. So I walked out of there saying, fuck this. I never went back there. So then I went into the other store and the other people were nice. And what happened was I got contrast. I started going, wait a minute, these are good people. These people have like a bright light around them. They're good-hearted people. They're nice. So I started noticing these two people that were in college were actually just genuinely nice people. So essentially what I was doing, I was coming out of my shell. I was coming out of the box or whatever you want to call it. And I really started to notice these are good people, these are not good people. This person's got issues, these people have really good hearts, you know. Like this person's like stuck in his head, this person has a heart. So you start to develop discernment, okay? And the other thing is you have to have really, really strong boundaries. And that's why you isolate yourself and you put your wall up to every, I call it the Great Wall of China, because that's what it's like. You're like, nope, I'm not letting anyone in, fuck that. What's happening though is you're finally developing strong boundaries. Now here's the really cool thing. I started lowering my boundaries to some people, not all the way, but down at least to my heart, or not maybe almost my heart. And I'd kind of like check them out. Who's this person? You know, it's like that's the way you're supposed to get to know people slowly. Find out if they have a good heart. Do they have good energy? Do they come from their heart? Pay attention. Notice the signs. And so then what happens if someone's a jerk or an asshole? Boom, you just put the wall up to them from that point forward. And so essentially you begin to learn how to use your boundaries, so you can lower them, you can raise them. It's like a door opens, a door closes, and now you're in control of it. Whereas before, your biggest problem was you would let people invade your boundaries, and that's what narcissists do. In fact, what narcissists do, they try to find what your boundaries are and they walk all over them. They do it because they think it's funny. And then what you would do is you would make up an excuse for them. Oh, well, they didn't realize what they were doing was rude, or they didn't realize what they were doing was, you know, one of my boundaries. Or both. He's like, well, you like told them like 10 times that you didn't like that, so any normal person would stop doing it. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of something that I went through, and I think so. The lady I'm working with, she went through a very exact, at least pretty much similar thing. Here's what it was. So I had cut people off when this whole thing just collapsed, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I was freaking out, and I was cutting people off, blocking people, telling people not to call me, and I'm done with them, etc. And this one person, it was just something was like something. It was like, no, I'm just not doing this anymore. So a little bit over a year and a quarter went by, and it was summertime. And I don't remember if this person contacted me or if I contacted them. For the life of me, I can't remember, but I ended up going over there, and it was a hot sunny day, and I wanted to get some sun. And I was like, yeah, let's go swim, because they had a really cool pool. And this person just started, it was like just talking shit, and I was like, I looked at them, and it was like they were angry, and they were like just saying stuff, and it was mean, and it was negative, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, dude, what's your problem? He goes, what are you talking about? And I finally realized, it was like the realization I had, because I was there for about 20 minutes, like going through this and listening to this person just say some fucked up shit. I guess you could call it belittling and, etc. And I'm just like, wait, I don't remember him being like this before. And I go, are you mad? He's like, no, why? But he kept doing it. I'm like, why are you talking to me like that? He was like, what? What are you talking about? And then I had a memory of him from, again, about 2 years before this or so. He had a roommate or a person that was renting a room. And I remember him just talking shit about this person, but he would always laugh like, yeah, and always laugh about it. And I was like, I know you're joking around, but, that's kind of fucked up, dude. And so he goes, oh, come on, dude, you're being too sensitive. Again, a typical narcissist. Oh, you're being too sensitive. Again, if someone does that and says you're too sensitive, no, you're dealing with a narcissist. So I remembered that, and then I started remembering, oh my God, he's been talking this way to me the whole time. And what I realized was I couldn't fucking see it back then. And that was, I don't know if I want to say it tripped me. It tripped me out, but not in a fear way, but kind of a what the hell? Like, Like how did I let this guy get away with this all that long time? And I grabbed my keys, grabbed my shirt, and I was like, dude, I'm fucking out of here. He goes, why? What's wrong? And I on the way, I looked at him and said, are you kidding me right now? And I was like, oh, I'm done. I go, dude, don't ever call me again. I am fucking done. So here is essentially what is going on. Number one, it's literally like the light was turned on. It's like you finally opened your eyes and your ears and your brain, and you just started seeing things for the way they are and not making up excuses for them. And it's really, really hard to believe. You're just thinking, wait, this is the way this person's been talking to me all these years? So that whole time while you're in this, that dark night of the soul, that 2 or 3 year isolation period, you're just going through this stuff, seeing them for the way they are, and you're in disbelief. Like, I can't believe my own family, my mom, my girlfriend, etc. They did that shit. You're like, what? It's unbelievable. So now you start trying to convince yourself that this really happened, and that's what you got. No, this happened, man. It's like you're trying to convince yourself, you're trying to verify it, when deep down inside you know what they did. They did it on purpose. So here I had this lady, this client, who was just constantly trying to tell me everything. Michael, you don't understand. And I finally said, I explained everything that I just explained to you. And she's like, really? She goes, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And that's how I feel. And I said, do you want to know why you really don't think that I believe you? And she goes, why? Sorry, understand, not believe, but why you don't think I understand you? And she goes, why? And I said, because you are still trying to convince yourself that what you're seeing is what you actually saw, heard, and felt. And I said, you are still at that stage where you're just like, this is unbelievable that all these people did these horrendous things all these years. And so it takes a while for you, even though you look at it. It could take my friend, at the pool thing. He was being a complete fucking dick. And I was like, has he always been this way? Like, oh my God. And so even though I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, he's not even fucking apologizing. I'm like, wow. And it's still hard to just accept it and be like, this is what they do. This is how they've been treating me, while you've been treating them like an angel or really good the whole time. So essentially what's happening is, the reason why you think that I don't understand is because you're having a hard time believing what you're finally seeing. But the good news is you're working your way through it. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is the bravest thing that you can do in the world. The majority of the population right now, they're still hiding from it, no matter how obvious what's going on is going on. So trust me, you did a super, super brave thing, and I applaud you. Hey, God bless you guys. This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Go ahead and click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment. And if you want, go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video.